Kimi Antonelli has a very big reason to be upset. There have been reports about him being potentially replaced by Max Verstappen from 2026 onwards. Although he has a firm contract with the Silver Arrows that should keep him there until the end of the next campaign, certain developments of events could see the Italian driver join Alpine. But is this the right move for Mercedes? And if not, how can it backfire on them? The situation between Mercedes and Antonelli could deteriorate very soon because the arrival of Max Verstappen, which is becoming more and more certain by the day, is putting the future of the Italian driver with the Silver Arrows under scrutiny. Yes, I believe that if a driver were to be pulled out of the Brackley-based squad in order for Max to join, that should be Russell because of the potential that Antonelli holds. But Kimi's promotion came under strange circumstances. Nobody expected Hamilton to pull the rug on Mercedes so quickly. The original path would have been similar to the one that Russell followed. But now that the stones have been set in place, it's very difficult to imagine that Mercedes could be demoting Antonelli just because of Verstappen's availability. But at the end of the day, the Silver Arrows know what they are doing. They have a unique opportunity to sign Verstappen, and certain sacrifices need to be made. Russell is in the prime of his career, and he's shown that if the car is capable of winning races, he'd definitely be a top candidate to win races and finally bring back the glory to Mercedes. So to replace him for Max, who is not very keen on racing well into his 40s, might not be the smartest idea after all. And what's even more important is that Mercedes will have a very good chance of comparing the performance of Max and Russell in the same car. We've seen that once the Red Bull was downgraded and Mercedes found more performance, the Brit was able to edge closer to Max in both qualifying and race pace. But we haven't seen them drive as teammates next to each other. So with this in mind, I highly doubt that Wolff will miss out on the opportunity to see what his current protege and the one he missed signing a long time ago drive in the same team. It's the only chance to put all of the rumors to an end. Max has proven himself to be one of the best adapting drivers on the grid, whereas Russell would have to defend the leader position he currently has under Wolff's command. But the sacrifice is just too big. What if by committing to this dangerous experiment, you somehow lose the services of Antonelli? Obviously, you know that he is the promised champion for your team. Maybe not now, maybe not in 1 to 2 years, but it's definitely not going to take that long before he turns into a championship-winning driver. Still, he is a bit too young, and he might have found himself in a very sticky situation. Just before the beginning of the new regulations, Verstappen and his exit clause became very popular, and Russell could be the one to dethrone the Dutchman from his own team. If he kicks in from the top 3 in the following 2 weekends in Spa and Hungary, which isn't too hard to imagine now that the difference is just 18 points, then Verstappen might decide that enough is enough, and Mercedes is the next best choice for him. The Brackley-based squad are labeled to be the leaders to be dominant in the newly regulated era because of the previous supremacy they've had in the engine manufacturing. Ferrari and Honda will likely be close on par, and that would be the determining factor for Verstappen to join Mercedes when push comes to shove. This is something that has been discussed by Gunther Steiner, the former team principal of Haas. Steiner believes that the only way Wolff will get answers to all of his questions is if he puts Russell and Max in the same car and then sees who deserves to have the seat headed from 2027 onwards with Antonelli next to them. Furthermore, he said, how could Mercedes replace George with Max and leave Antonelli there if Mercedes wants to win a world championship? Kimi did 1 good race in Canada. The rest, how many good races did he have? Not many. So, you take George out, who is doing a good job. Like him or not, he won a race in Canada, so he's obviously a good leader there. I think Mercedes would need to take Kimi out to put Max in. I would understand that one at the moment, saying, hey, Kimi, let's do a year at Alpine or Williams, wherever. Build it up. He's a good driver, but he needs to get experience. Being thrown in at that age in a car that could win races and you don't win, it's not good for your build-up. So that's difficult. All in all, it's not good news for Antonelli. He could entangle himself in a very poor position because he's shown some extreme potential and some great races, even a pole position in Miami and a podium finish in Canada. And that might not even be enough for him to keep his seat. Yes, it's definitely not a long-term situation because whether we like it or not, Antonelli is built for the great stage, and I don't think Alpine is going to reach that in a short period of time. Quite the contrary, I think that the Instone-based squad are going to benefit a lot by having Kimi on their team, because not only will he put a lot of pressure on Gasly, but he'll definitely be able to help them out in bringing the car closer to the front and establishing it stronger in the midfield. Even Toto Wolff stated that every lineup in Mercedes is possible from 2026 onwards, hinting that just because Antonelli has a contract, it doesn't automatically mean that he's going to be served with the privilege of not being displaced. It's Max Verstappen we're talking about. And elaborating further on this, he said, "I can imagine every lineup in Mercedes. I had Rosberg and Hamilton fighting for a world championship, so everything else afterwards is easy. There are pros and cons of having two drivers fighting each other hard, and we've seen examples where that functions and other examples where it didn't. And make no mistake, Mercedes is going to push for Verstappen with every force available."